Have you ever noticed how the same leadership behavior can be praised in one person but criticized in another? For example, when one leader is assertive, they're called confident, but when someone else shows the same behavior, they may be labeled as aggressive or too outspoken. Why does this happen? Today, we're going to be talking about agentic leadership, stereotypes, and intersectionality, and why understanding these ideas are essential for building more inclusive workplaces. For those of you who haven't been here before, hi, my name is Ria. I studied psychology at the University of Surrey and I did my PGCE at Goldsmiths University of London. I did a dissertation in my final year of university about business psychology and System 1 and System 2 thinking, and ended up getting it first class in my dissertation. And today we're going to be talking about something that is really close to my heart, which is about agentic and communal leadership and the stereotypes that exist in leadership because of one of our protected characteristics. So let's get started. What is agentic leadership? Agentic leadership includes behaviors like assertiveness, confidence, decisiveness, taking initiative and being proactive, and influencing others. These are traits that have traditionally been associated with leadership, but they're also known as masculine traits as well, if we are looking at the social construction of these traits. Many organizations expect leaders to speak up, take control, and make strong decisions. A wonderful book for you to delve into deeper about these concepts is Making Your Voice Heard by Constance Chow Locke, and she is a lecturer at UCL, specifically in organizational psychology. In her book, she says the ability to express these behaviors isn't judged equally by everyone, and that's where stereotypes come in. So, what is intersectionality? To understand this better, we need to talk about intersectionality. Intersectionality is the idea that people experience the world through multiple overlapping identities, such as gender, race, ethnicity, culture, class, and religion. This term was introduced by legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw. Instead of experiencing bias through just one identity, people can experience multiple forms of bias at the same time. So rather than looking at gender alone, intersectionality asks us to consider how gender, race, and other identities interact together. And this is coincided with our unconscious biases as well, because the way that we're socialized in our primary and our secondary socialization, so the way that we grow up in the home and the way that we've been taught in our education system, can influence our unconscious biases and the stereotypes that we hold when dealing with our outlook of the world. So, how does intersectionality specifically affect leadership? Historically, leadership stereotypes were shaped around Western, white, male leadership norms. Because of this, many organizations still carry unspoken mental images of what a strong leader looks like. And when someone doesn't fit that image, their leadership behavior can be judged differently. So let's look at 3 different ways of how this manifests into the workplace. Number 1, different stereotypes for different groups. So different ethnic groups are often associated with different stereotypes. Some groups may be stereotyped as passive, quiet, or submissive. Others may be labeled as overly aggressive, confrontational, or not leadership material. These stereotypes influence how leadership behavior is interpreted. So when someone shows assertiveness, it may not always be seen as confidence. Sometimes it gets misinterpreted through the lens of stereotypes. The double bind then becomes a triple bind. That is number 2. Many leaders already face what researchers call a double bind. For example, when a woman is in leadership, they experience many conflicting expectations. Be confident and decisive, but also be warm and likable. However, for many leaders from ethnic minority backgrounds, this can become a triple bind. They may face pressures from gender stereotypes, ethnic stereotypes, and leadership expectations. For an instance, an assertive woman from an ethnic minority background may be perceived as too aggressive, too outspoken, or not fitting the leadership image. Meanwhile, the same behavior for someone who matches the traditional stereotype can be shown to be seen as a strength or a confidence. So, Number three, communication and cultural bias. Another important point raised by Constance Locke in her book Making the Voice Heard is communication style. In many workplaces, people are evaluated based on how closely their communication matches dominant cultural norms. But communication styles vary across cultures. Some cultures value humility, indirect communication, or collective decision making, while others value directness, strong opinions, and assertive speech. Because of this difference, professionals from minority backgrounds may feel pressure to adapt their communication style just to be taken seriously. So we talked about agentic leadership. Communal leadership means you're more warm and empathetic and you're more nurturing, and these are often associated with feminine traits. And many times females are, especially in leadership, are shown to perceive these communal traits more than these agentic traits. And if they present more agentic traits more than communal traits, they are given the label as too arrogant or even a bitch in the workplace. Whereas if a man portrayed those same characteristics, he's conveyed as more ambitious and proactive and outgoing. So, what can we do and why does this matter for leadership? Understanding intersectionality helps organizations recognize that leadership behavior is not just interpreted neutrally. Bias can shape how people interpret the same action. A behavior that signals confidence in one person may be labeled as arrogance in another. That's why leadership development must focus on recognizing bias and our unconscious biases, expanding what leadership looks like, and valuing diverse leadership styles and different perspectives and people from different backgrounds. So, what does the future of leadership look like? The future of leadership isn't about fitting into one narrow stereotype. The most effective leaders actually combine both agentic and communal qualities. Agentic qualities such as initiative, decisiveness, and influence, and communal qualities such as collaboration, empathy, and inclusion. When organizations recognize intersectionality, they understand something important. Great leadership doesn't always look the same. It can vary depending on the individual, their background, and their cultural context. So, the key takeaway is agentic leadership is important, but we also need to recognize not everyone is judged by the same standards when they display it. By understanding intersectionality, leaders can create workplaces where diverse voices are heard, respected, and valued. And that's how we move forward towards a fairer and more inclusive leadership style. DEI shouldn't just be a tick box activity, it should be actually actioned within the workplace culture. So, my call to action for you is what do you think leadership should look like in the future? Leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to know more about how agentic and communal leadership and how intersectionality plays within your organization, drop me a comment or message me and we shall get a conversation going. I am Ria. I was part of the University of Surrey Future Leaders program. You might have seen me at one of the events over there. And if you require a speaker for your university or college who talks about leadership and leadership within your young people, please let me know. So if you found this helpful, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video with someone who is interested in leadership and workplace inclusion. And I shall see you next time for another video about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how we can embed that and enhance that within your organizations. Take care. Bye.